welcome back. I'm David from Karnage-Karts, and today we're going to dig back into the off-roading vehicle from the last video. I've been pretty busy trying to straighten stuff up and getting things put away, because as you would imagine, every project you do, things start coming out of cabinets and drawers and getting spread all around, so it's been kind of a little hectic around here. Let me show you I'll apologize for any noise that I have. As you can see right outside my house, I'm right at the edge of town, and this is a US highway, so I'm going to have to probably invest in a one of those Bluetooth mics so that my audio will be better. But until then, I guess we'll carry on. I did get my top of my, well, I won't say desk area, but this is usually for small electronics and whatnot, and got most of that cleaned off and some of my shelving reorganized over on that side. And that's pretty much always the same. My main toolbox, electronics and riveting, soldering guns, all that kind of stuff over there. I did get a couple new additions to the shop. Chainsaw sharpener, old ass vise, but I did pick up a smaller bandsaw for the smaller metal objects. Hopefully, I got to get a different blade for this one, and the wheel shoes. But the price was right, so you really can't go wrong for, I think I paid 25 bucks for that. My favorite piece is going to be, I did get a stand-up drill press. Finally, been wanting one for a while, but they're usually one expensive new. I do like older models because they're made out of some durable stuff. All I really had to do with this one, I kind of got lucky. I got it extremely cheap. It was supposed to have run, but the motor back here, the original motor, was I think a half horse and was not cooperating very well on the supposed to run when last used. It was out of a shop that was having an auction, and so I ended up putting in a third horse right here. I had this motor laying around that I'd gotten I think from a bench top type setup that just was running a belt and a grinder, but since I have a different grinder, I was like, I didn't really have a use for it. But all lights and everything's working good on it now. I have it set up for metal, so I can start drilling through tubing and whatnot, so that'll be a bonus. Got most of this area all cleaned back up. I did have an extra air compressor underneath here from my father, so I'd gotten rid of that and put it out in one of my sheds, only because it had a small pinhole at the bottom of the tank and was leaking air. This is, of course, the project we'll be working on. I still have to finish up my carburetor station. I have all carburetors and spark plugs and all that kind of stuff there. Some extra drills and whatnot. Zip ties and stuff for chain brakes and everything in there. A little bit of extra room since I moved my War Pig up here to the front. I had picked this up a couple years ago. I use it mostly in winter. My plow's still on it. It's got a really crappy plow, but this thing walks through most everything. Right now my battery doesn't seem to want to take a charge. That's why you see the seat up a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get a new battery in it. I did jump start it and drove it around a bit. She just doesn't want to hold a charge anymore. Of course, buggy's still sitting there. Haven't gotten to that one. Pushed my Cub Cadet outside, my main lawnmower. I have the rot rod, which will turn into a racer here sometime over this next year. This old Manco kart, which is ready to go, but it seems like the season is lower. Out here, the Suzuki project, I still got to get to. This Rutman, it's had, I put a couple different motors on it, haven't decided which one I want to use. And then there's this Fox Thunderbolt I almost have finished. This was a complete strip, and it is now a kind of a candy blue. That towel is on there, so if the handlebars move back, it doesn't chip the brand new paint on it. Not too much left to do on that. Motor's been gone through. We were thinking about custom exhaust to go back, but that's for a later date. Today, what I'd like to do, I've been kind of studying this front end to see what I wanted to do on this project, and I have kind of been eyeballing this because I don't want to make absolutely everything from scratch, and this is a little 50cc, which is in my book useless. I'm kind of to the stage where I don't have very many requests for very small kids, and I was going to put a Predator on here and put some wheelie bars off the back and kind of just make it a fun little ripper, but the market in my area right now is definitely kind of squirrely, and you know, it's the people buying things for young kids. I mean, pretty much they just want a, you know, full-blown, you know, if they want a 50cc quad, they're just going to go out, and to tell you the truth, they're fairly reasonable up here. Not that expensive. I mean, hell, brand new ones are, you know, $600-700. So there's not a whole lot, to me, there's not any value in this whatsoever, other than if a person wants to make a toy or, you know, just something to screw around. But for me, it's not worth building. I had a Predator on here. I was just about to weld in engine plate down there and get everything lined up, but to tell you the truth, out back I have a bigger frame on a quad I had picked up at a garage sale. It was literally $40, but the engine was junk. There's no plastics on it, missing a seat, but frame and all that type of stuff. Suspension is still on that one, so I'll probably be bringing that one in here to, you know, play with at some point. And so today what I was looking at is I think when I measured on this one, I think I have about 9.5 inches from here to here. And what I want to do is I'm not sure if I want to take it up here and just cut it across this way. But I want to take this whole front end off, and then what I want to do is kind of split this right down through the middle, so I have two separate halves. So that means I'm not sure if I want to save the handlebar assembly up here or not. I mean, I'll probably keep it intact so that if I do decide, you know, it could be used on something else, then we'll just go ahead and keep it. But the rest of it, then what I'll do is I'll keep the gas tank, take the axle apart, or I'll probably just keep the swing arm and that area all intact, just in case. I mean, the rest of it really, I mean, I guess I could, you know, hack off the foot supports. Like I said, I do have the plastics for it sitting up there, but yeah, by the time I get all the parts, I do have the original motor for this and whatnot, but Like I said, I personally don't feel it's worth the time or the expense. And by the time you're all done and you have a lot of hours into something like this to do a build and try to, let's say you go all out on this thing and you were to do, Predator, torque converter, new tires. I do have a seat someplace up in that corner over there. And hours of fabrication on this. And if you were to even try and get, 800, a grand out of it, it's not going to happen. I mean, I wish it would. I mean, it would be fun and unique, but you're lucky to get, $500-600 range up here, and by the time you put that much effort into it, I kind of believe you're at a loss at that point. So unless you're doing it for a personal project or something like that, it's like I said, it's kind of definitely not worth building. So I'm going to chop the damn thing up. It was actually dropped off here at my place because obviously usually seating out front is a whole ton of motorsports items, mini bikes, go-karts, buggies. And so somebody dropped one off and said, hey, if you want to play with this one, it's free, you can have it. And so I said, well, absolutely, I'll take it. So we are going to utilize that. All right, so the next step then will be, I'll confirm it, if I have 9.5 inches here, I don't quite have, from this point forward, I don't quite have 9.5 inches outward. So, but I haven't 100% fully figured out what I want to do to the front of this, because if we do AA arms and suspension up here, and we have, hypothetically, we have one half put here, obviously the other half is sitting on this side. I'm going to assume, I am not an expert, I just like to tinker in the garage and I like to build stuff. So what I'm thinking is that the plane, or level plane here from the frame going across, is about equal, give or take, with the bottom A arm on here. And so that plane will have to probably follow the bottom of this and be at least equal to, so that your hub then will kind of stay how I have this set up. But for this one, I'm probably just gonna cut this off both sides, and I may have to extend this, but I think the only way to really kind of figure out what's going on is to get cutting and have this blown apart, and then I can better see and visualize what's going on over here. So I will set you up on a time lapse, and I'm going to take apart and hack this thing into pieces. Alright, well that was fun. Luckily that wasn't oil that came out of the frame over there. It was just old water, because it has been sitting outside for a long time, so it kind of looked like mud, but Anyways, back to the fun part. They put these together really strange, so of course I got the control arms off. And now we'll just have to see in which direction we're going to cut. So I think about right dead in the middle. Here, here, down here. I'll flip this over. And then we'll do the exact same on the front, where we'll have to cut this bar, this one, and this one, and right in the middle. And then when we're done and we get things situated on the front here, then we'll have to do some cross support bars and put that back together. We'll just basically, we're just widening it. So well, let me go ahead and get that cut, and then we'll be right back. Alright, well, things had to get a little messy here for a minute because that little centerpiece is what the steering was riding on, and that's the only piece that I couldn't cut in half, so I had to take the tires and spindles off over there. So now I have two halves. And let me put you on a tripod and I will show you what what my basic plan is until I proven differently. So my basic plan is to really take one half, and what I'm going to have to do is cut this full bar off the front, but let me get that down there. It will be roughly here. This little push bar that was on the front of the quad won't be on here no more. I'll take that off. But then what I think I can do, this will be here and here, of course, where your spindle will be. I need this piece. I won't need this, so this will have to come off. And I think what I can do, if I cut off this back section, this bar here, let's for a second imagine this cross piece is gone, these spindles are gone, so it's just these two nubs. What it should be able to do, I think, is I should be able to weld your bottom is your A-arm support, but this rod in here is a solid mount. So what that would be is if I can get it right up against here, I should be able to cut this off, weld these forward, because right now I have to come forward at least enough so the back of this assembly is at least in front of this body mount, because I do have some rubber body mounts that I was going to drill, mount a couple underneath so that the jumping on here or across rough terrain won't, it'll help protect the fiberglass from cracking. So that's kind of the next idea. So what I'm going to do then, I think next I'm going to cut this front assembly off of here, and then we can mock up where this will sit, and then we can start welding that back in. Alright, here is the mock-up, and I'm going to tell you there are a couple things I could have used that I don't own that would have made this easier, but nope. I don't have those ratchet clamps, and that would have made it a hell of a lot easier than trying to balance. And I was going to use a C-clamp, but trying to hold it and clamp it was a pain in the ass. So temporarily, just to get it up there, yeah, I use some duct tape. But that will allow me to at least get it held up there without having to balance a couple things at the same time. And I'll have to go and get some clamps. But anyways, now you can kind of see what I was aiming for, which was to get that center bar even. Of course, that has to come up a little bit before I weld. At that point, what we'll have to do is these will come off on each side, and then we are going to tube it and go across into the front, and then of course this front clip piece for the push bar on the ATV will actually leave us, because, well, perhaps later on, if I find a different type of one, maybe that'll work. But from this point, looks like that is going to work. And that should give us full swing of the tire. And then once the cross supports are put in from side to side, then we can go ahead and figure out how we're going to get the steering in. The plan was to take this piece and cut out a full dash to put in here, and then I can centralize the hole back in here and be able to put the steering forward. So that is kind of the general look of that. In the meantime, I have one spring that seems to be kind of frozen, so I'll have to obviously work that side, get that one out of there, and get that loosened back up. But that's basically, I think these are 12-inch shocks, and that's generally what a lot of off-road buggies are. And then what I can do is get my other set of shock mounts mounted up there and make sure that I'm golden there. Once the rear swing arm there has a set of shocks on there, I can at least start putting this together to make it into, at least get it on the ground, and it'll be a roller. So that'll be a little bit easier. I'm probably going to end this one here. What I'll have to do then, just to make sure I'm not burning up the body, I'll pull the body in the next one, and then we will start building all the cross supports and get this front end put together, so I can at least get this mess, get my tires back up. I'll see if I'm going to need anything off of the steering assembly, and I'll probably, in the meantime, continue to hack up this the rear end, so that basically all I want out of that piece is just the rear swing arm, probably up to where the rear shock mounts on that one, and then I'll just set that aside, and then obviously we'll have it for whatever contraption we build down the line. But so that should actually get us a really good start. And with the cross supports and these front assembly of that quad mounted on, actually welded to the frames, that should give us a pretty good start on where we need to be. So with that, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks. Laters.